Before we begin, I would like to introduce my YouTube channel, BL Nongsap. Let's start.
Today, we're diving into an incredible story of defiance, of prophecy, and of a legacy that was literally forged at the end of a rope. We're going to explore the life of Kiang Nangbah, a freedom fighter whose legend became just as powerful as his rebellion. Can you even imagine? You're standing on the gallows with just moments left to live, and you declare that the very direction your body turns will seal your country's fate. Those were the final words of Kiang Nangbah. He turned his own execution into this powerful, unforgettable symbol of hope. So let's set the scene. It's December 30th, 1862, in the Jantia Hills of Meghalaya. On this day, a man wasn't just executed, he became a legend. So who was Kiang Nangbah, and what on earth led him to this fateful moment? All right, so our story actually starts right at its most dramatic point, with that prophecy from the gallows. But to really get what that prophecy meant, we've got to rewind. We need to understand the man himself and the uprising that he led. So, who was this guy, Kiang Nangbah? Well, he wasn't a king. He wasn't some high-ranking official. He was, by all accounts, an ordinary man who rose to lead a truly extraordinary rebellion against the British back in the mid-19th century. You can see from this timeline, this wasn't something that just happened overnight. Tensions were simmering for a long, long time. The British took over the Jantia Hills way back around 1835. But it took another 25 years, until 1860, for a new house tax to become the final straw. That single act lit the fuse on a rebellion that would burn bright for 2 years. But, this revolt, it was about so much more than just a tax. The British weren't just taking their money. They were meddling with their religious traditions, their customs. They were slowly stripping away the sovereignty of the Jainti people. It was basically an attack on their entire way of life. And they decided they weren't going to take it lying down. So, this is how they decided to fight back. This is where Kiang Nangbah really stepped up. He became the guy who brought everyone together. He rallied the people, and using their incredible knowledge of the local hills and forests, they launched this brilliant and really fierce guerrilla war against the British troops. And you've got to understand, this wasn't just chaos. They had a plan, a real strategy. Step 1, bring all the people of the Jantia Hills together. Step 2, use hit-and-run guerrilla tactics to weaken the British. And Step 3, launch big coordinated attacks on key targets, like the police station in Jawai. The rebellion was incredibly strong, but as with so many of these stories, a tragic turn was just around the corner. I mean, think about that. For 2 whole years, this small group of rebels held their own against the might of the British military. That is an absolutely incredible achievement that just speaks volumes about their courage and skill. Then, in the last few weeks of 1862, a moment of weakness. Kiang Nangbah, the charismatic leader holding this whole thing together, he got sick, really sick. And it's right then, at his most vulnerable moment, that the unthinkable happens. Betrayal. An associate, a man named Yulong Suttonga, gave away his location to the British, and they moved in fast and captured the ailing leader. After that, the end came swiftly. There wasn't a real trial, of course. It was a sham, a show trial, designed to send a message and crush the rebellion for good. The verdict was a foregone conclusion: death by public hanging. The British thought that by hanging him, they were ending the story. They couldn't have been more wrong. In a way, his death was just the beginning of the legend. So what about that prophecy? Well, this is where history and oral tradition become one. The story, passed down from generation to generation, says that after the execution was carried out, his face turned towards the east. For his people, this wasn't some coincidence. It was a sign that freedom would, one day, be theirs. And his sacrifice has never, ever been forgotten. I mean, look at this. December 30th is now a state holiday in Meghalaya. A government college in Jawai bears his name. The entire country of India honored him with a postage stamp back in 2001. And a monument stands tall in his honor right there in Jawai. See, these aren't just memorials or pictures on a stamp. They are active, living reminders of his spirit. By putting his face on stamps and raising statues, you weave his story of defiance into the very DNA of a people and a nation. You make sure it's never just a footnote in a history book. So, it really leaves us with this question, right? Was it a hero's final supernatural prophecy? Or was it the story that a people, in their absolute darkest hour, needed to believe in? A symbol of their own unbreakable, undying hope for freedom. You know, when you think about it, maybe they're both one and the same.
This video is prepared by Shri BL Nomsap. Once again, make sure to share, like and subscribe and give your valuable positive feedback and comments. Thank you.